Hi, and welcome to Ladies of the Paranormal World. Today we are here with Skinwalker and Drusilla, your host, Dark Angel. And today we are here with Amber's Paraworks. Is that correct? I want to make sure I'm saying that right.
Wait, what is
Paraworld.
it? Paraworld, yes.
And we're going to talk to her a little bit today about starting off. Where are you from, dear?
I'm in West Virginia, where it is cold right now.
That's awesome. And today, as always, we take live Q&A. So if you have any questions for Amber during our live stream, feel free to ask. We will answer them. So where you're from, what would be one of the places that got your attention, and what's your very first paranormal experience?
Well, that goes back to when I was about 5, and it was with a UFO. So, so it wasn't with ghosts at first. It was with other things. Um, I did write a book this year, so I talk about the UFO experiences as well as a few other earlier
Kind
experiences
of
I've had.
anonymous?
There's not a, but this is the book I wrote, and it's on Amazon right now.
Oh, wow. So why don't you
So
tell me a little bit about that book? That way we
this
can
is
promote it while we're here.
this is just a collection of different things I've experienced. A lot of them have YouTube videos to go along with it. You know, different things I've experienced, but it goes in a little more detail about some of them.
And you can find it on Amazon?
Yes, yes. I
I'm
have the
gonna have
link
to
on
look
my
that up.
Twitter. On my Twitter page, it's got like it's pinned to the top, the link and everything.
Perfect. So anybody that wants to buy her book, what's the book called, dear? Really
The
saw it
Dead
brief.
in Me.
The Dead in Me. So
Yes.
guys, check out The Dead in Me. It's a really awesome book about her experiences, and watch her videos. That'll be on YouTube and Twitter. Is that correct?
Yes, my videos are on YouTube, but I share things on Twitter as well,
All
and
right.
on
So now
TikTok.
back to the beginning. Your first experience, you said, wasn't with ghosts. What was your first experiences with?
It was with a UFO, seeing one in the sky. At the time, I had no idea what it was. I had not been exposed to anything paranormal at that point. So,
Okay.
um,
Now your first experience with UAPs. Um, Not now, Alice. With UAPs, was it something that just kind of was unexpected, or were you actually looking for the experiences at the time?
no, I was just looking at the sky. I was 5. I was just looking at the sky and saw it. So,
Okay,
and
and what
and
did
it
it
was
look
kind of
like?
cool because it was huge. It was really close, and we lived on a hill, so it kind of like went over the hill into the like where the trees were, and we
Hmm.
saw this bright light flash, and then it was gone. So I went, and I'm not sure if it was like the next day or a couple days later, but I went down there to kind of look at it, and I didn't see it, but the ground was kind of charred where it had been, so you could tell something had been there. So I knew I wasn't losing it.
That's awesome. Now, was this the only time that you had experienced UAP stuff, or did this just kind of get your attention and get you more interested in things? I know you were young at the time, but did it make you want to explore a little bit about it?
That was the first experience I remember, but at the same location, like the same place, you know, there was an old building out back, and it had like an old organ in it, and it would play by itself. And there was this creepy doll in there that would do things. So it like everything just kind of took off from that point on,
Oh, wow.
and it
Okay.
and it's just kind of been a part of my life ever since it. So now I talk to dead people, aliens, cryptids, and all that good stuff.
We love all of the above. This show is specifically catered to all things unexplained. We stopped categorizing them because we just call it the unexplained. Um, have you had any experiences with cryptids, or do you just do research for them?
No, I will go out in the woods and look for them. I've gotten some really cool photos of them. I've channeled a Bigfoot. I've heard his voice. Um, I want to be where they are. I want to go out and experience anything and everything I can.
That's awesome. I have my own minor experiences, but I'm branching out. I'm going to be investigating them here soon. With cryptids, what kind of equipment do you use to go out and really look for them?
Um, a flashlight in my phone. I've never been one to use a lot of equipment. I just got my first K2 meter last year for Christmas. Before that, it was just dowsing rods, pendulum. Um, I have a REM pod now, but I just got it a few months ago, and I have yet to ever get anything to touch it. But I've also been in locations before where I'll lay my K2 meter down and I'll see the lady, like the spirit standing there, and she's like, I'm not going to touch it. So it's, if they touch it, they touch it. If they don't, they don't. It's up to them if they want to.
Right. And,
You can have all the equipment you want, but if they don't want to mess with it, they're not going to.
right. I was just about to say that anything that really wants to interact with you doesn't always mean they want to interact with your equipment.
Right.
um, Hi, Rochelle. Um, so, when you started really investigating, what did you do to really start putting together your plan? Because everybody starts in their own way. Some people start with residential areas, some people start with, rural areas, or you can go for the famous haunts. What did you start with in the beginning?
Well, like I said, it's always been a part of my life. I've always went places, and back in, I probably have it here somewhere, but like I had like the old school recorder with a cassette tape, and I would go places and try to get their voices on tape. And at the time, things were following me home, and I didn't know how to control it. It took some really terrifying experiences for me to be able to reach out to somebody and be like, look, I can't live like this. I need help. And that was gosh, a little over a decade ago. And I finally figured out, how to kind of like harness my gifts and be able to control it better. But it's just always been there. It's just always been a part of my life. I've always went looking for it, even though it would scare me. It doesn't scare me now. Now I prefer to hang out with dead people over
Hi,
most
Lou.
people that are living. Hey, Lou.
So I have a question. Um, we have a lot of people that come on that we would consider gifted. What exactly is your gift? Because some people are sensitives, some people are psychic mediums, some people are more along the lines of empaths. What would you say your gift encompasses?
I'm a physical medium, so I can communicate with dead people. Um, but it doesn't just stop there. Everybody's gifts are different. You can go see one person who is a medium and get a completely different reading from somebody else. Um, I've encountered this especially on TikTok. I post stuff about cryptids, and one time I did have another medium who I don't know. She just was kind of trolling my post, and she's like, "That's not how mediumship works." And I'm like, yes, it is, if you venture out that far. With meditation and grounding yourself, you can do almost anything you want to do. It will come to you. But I go out and I want to explore the cryptid side, and I've had encounters with demons. And some people only connect with ones who have passed away, for people, and that's fine. I do that as well. But I like going out and connecting with people who have passed away. I've been doing some random, and my twist on it is that somebody always ends up needing my over, or bring them home to cross them over or something like that. But I like to connect with, whether they're humans, not ever been human, Birdman, Sasquatch,
Right.
whatever it
Now,
might be.
I was gonna say, because you're getting into some cryptids here, like Birdman. Um, why don't you go ahead and talk to us a little bit about cryptids? There are a lot of people here that may already know some about it, but there are some of our audience that are more familiar with the paranormal than they are for cryptids. So why don't you go ahead and talk a little bit about that? Oops, I think she froze.
Okay. I froze for a second. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
there we go. There you are.
Okay. So I kind of consider cryptids anything that's not like a human spirit. Some people associate cryptids with dog man or just a Bigfoot or Sasquatch. But there's so many other things. Here in West Virginia, we have the West Virginia white thing, who I'm pretty sure I've got photos of. It could be there's Toad Man, there's Rougarous, there's all kinds of different things. There's Fae, there's elementals, there's just so many different things. Um, I always say that if people could see everything that is out there, they'd probably never leave their houses again because it would terrify them. I've seen
Probably
some
so.
pretty questionable things. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I've seen
Drusilla.
little things that look like elves, with really sharp teeth and pointy ears. There's just so many things out there, but
That sounds like
majority
the
of them,
nightmare version of the Lord of the Rings.
yes, they look like that. They look like Gollum or something, but they're a little cuter. But I don't know. They're just they look terrifying, but I don't think they're all very as scary as people think they are. So you just kind of got to
Good
give them a
evening,
chance.
Mission. Drusilla, any questions?
Um, let's see. Let me pick one out of my head. Sorry, I got a bunch of them. Um, so you say that you can talk to not only human but non-human, and is it just their spirits, or like do you get a sense of feel where they are, or
As far as human spirits, is that what you're talking
no?
about?
As far as the non-human spirits.
Um, yes, I've encountered like I think 5 demons so far, and as far as connecting with different cryptids, technically you don't have to go out looking for them because you can call on their energy. Um, but going out and exploring and seeing where they live is fun, and getting closer to them. They know our intentions. They're a lot smarter than probably most people. They're on a different level of intelligence. So, when people go out into the woods and they're looking for trouble, or they're talking negative, like, oh, I'm going to bring a gun, I'm going to do this, nothing better come running at me. That's automatically putting up a red flag for them, and they're going to be defensive. You have to go into it with a pure heart and pure intentions. But yeah, just connecting with their energy, it's just different with them. They don't talk like we do, so it's a little different. You're just it's almost like connecting with gods on them. I don't know how to explain it. It's just a little different.
That's pretty awesome, though, to have that. Now, I'm going to ask you, because I always ask every guest the same question. What is your most frightening experience?
Um, it would have to be the experience and this one's in my book as well. It's what happened whenever I finally figured that I needed to reach out for help. When I couldn't control my gifts, and that was when my daughter was very, very young, and it had been happening since before this. But I think the chapter is called "The Old Hag and Her Creepy Boyfriend," but it's like there
Oh,
was these.
wow.
I had this old hag that would come and scream my name every night in my bed. She would just scream in my ear until my ear hurt, and then this man would walk down the hallway and just stare at me, and then it just happened all the time, and I didn't know at the time that I could just be like, "Hey, get out of my house," but I think when we're scared, we forget that our words are really powerful, and we can just tell them that, hey, this is my house, not yours, you got to go. I do that now, but but I didn't then. But one night he came into my room. He came into the room when he never had before, and he jerked me, tried to pull me out of the bed, and that was really scary. So
So, would you consider that a physical attack on you?
yeah, I mean, I don't know what his intentions were. I think he was really just trying to terrify me. um I mean, I don't know where he thought he was going to take me or what was going to happen, but looking at it now, I'm glad it happened, even though at the time I was terrified. I'm glad it happened because I needed that push to be like, hey, you need to figure out what to do. You need to figure this out. And I did.
Right. One of the things that I always bring up is the difference between negative uh, entities or negative spirits and demonic entities. There's a difference. There are the
Hmm.
darker or more negative spirits are ones that have died of a traumatic death of some kind, whether it was through murder, suicide, what have you. And then you have pure demonic entities. Demonic entities are the ones that want to cause you harm. They feed off of your fear, they feed off of your angst. Have you had any contact with demonic entities that kind of left you in either physically touched, mentally touched, or emotionally touched, or all three?
Yes. There's different levels of demonic entities though. Like some are kind of like low level and they try to be scary, but they really can't do much. And you're just like, bring it on, buddy,
They're
because
kind of
you're not
like the
going to.
mischief little.
Right. They make you think they're scary. I've only encountered one that really scared me. And this is one that I saw as a human. He looked like a human to me at first, and then he started shape shifting into this big giant snake. And then I'm like, oh, maybe he just figured out how to. Like I told myself, like he's a human. He just figured out how to change himself. But like I gave him the benefit of the doubt. He caused all kinds of chaos. He's gone now. It took nothing less than an exorcism to get rid of him, and that was like 3 attempts to do this.
Oh my
But
gosh.
then I encountered some demonic entities at Bobby Mackey's when I went there, and they didn't seem like they really wanted, like, were super interested in like going home with people. They were just kind of okayed in there. But one of them did grab my head and kind of like hold my head and squeeze it really hard. Um, yeah, that was a weird experience, but I want to go back. I want to go back and talk to him.
I was gonna
I've
say, it's funny that you mentioned Bobby Mackey because we actually had him on here last Monday. um,
Yeah.
and he himself is a pretty cool, he's awesome guy. We talked to him for about an hour about his life and a little bit about his music club. What experiences did you have while you were there? Because we know there are demonic entities, or there's a lot of stories of demonic entities there,
Hmm.
but there are other stories of there being just spirits from Pearl Bryan to Johanna to um what's the men that killed Pearl Bryan. Did you have any encounters with any of those spirits at the time?
The ones that I did pick up on, like in the main bar area. There was one area I walked into, and I could tell that somebody had. I had assumed it was like a physical fight, that like he had been hit in the head and he died. Um, then there were a couple of demonic entities downstairs, and Carl's spirit. I I talked to him upstairs. Um, he told me he came here before I even went there and was connecting with me. He told me not to go and all this stuff, but they all say that, which makes me want to go even more.
Oh, of course.
It's like when your
He
parents tell you not to do something and you're like,
right,
God, I really got to do this.
yeah.
Just because we were told not to do it, I have to do it now.
So the way I understood, Carl says he's a demon now, and I think it's like demon from possession. He wasn't like, I think there's a difference in people that pass away from while they're in a demonic possession, and they're
Mhm.
sort of like demonic, but they're not, they still have that human aspect. Because he would still connect just like a spirit would, like a regular
Mhm.
human spirit. But there was definitely a presence up there. Like when I went to go walk through the door, I could feel the energy. It was like everything is trying to push me back out. They didn't want me in there. And I even got, I think I broke out the necrophonic app, and I had asked him about if he had exorcisms done there, and he said, and it said Bishop Long did. So that was really interesting.
Right. There's
But
what is he, a pastor or priest that has frequented Bobby Mackey's to do other exorcisms, and I believe he's the one that did the exorcism of Carl when he was under demonic possession. And I think she froze again. Uh oh. There
okay,
you
I'm
go.
back. Sorry, my
That's all
internet's
right.
horrible.
Um, the pastor or the priest, I can't remember if he's a pastor or a priest. Anyway, he comes up to Bobby Mackey's pretty frequently because people go to do investigations there. They end up with some kind of
Mhm.
attachment or leftover remnants of an attachment from when they were there. Have you had any communications with him, or have you interviewed him at any time?
No, I have not. I haven't talked to him. Are you talking about the one who did exorcisms?
Yeah, the one that did Carl's exorcism and has
Okay.
done other exorcisms on people that have been in the Bobby
I'm
Mackey.
working on getting him on my channel, but we're still working on a schedule for that. But I would love to talk to him about it. I do watch him. He'll go live on TikTok sometimes, and he talks about this cemetery in Kentucky, I believe. And he's like, don't ever go there." And I'm like, "What's the address?" And I know where it's at now, so I'll probably go there. Um, but I mean, I don't know. I think I've never really encountered a demon that has. I don't know. It's so weird because I think they get a I know they're demonic, but I think they get a bad rap from movies. And if somebody's door closes or something falls off their counter, they automatically assume demon, and it's not always a demon. Sometimes it's grandma and she's coming back to visit you and she just bumps into something. I encounter that a lot more. Like I said, in my whole life, I've only encountered these 5 demonic entities. So they're common, but they're not as common as people think they are. You have to remember to always protect yourself, to keep that light up, and cleanse yourself, and just you know surround yourself in that light. You have to protect
Mhm.
yourself. And sometimes if you forget, you bring stuff home, and I do that sometimes too because I get lazy with it, and I'll go someplace and I'm like, oh, I'll be okay, and then I'm calling friends to be
Then
like,
you bring
hey,
a
I
visitor
need
with
help.
you.
Right. I did that from Lake Shawnee, and it was terrible. He was horrible.
Okay, so in your many years of doing paranormal investigations, have you ever encountered anything to do with Ouija boards? Because I know this is one of the questions I ask all the time. It's probably one of the questions I'll ask on every episode, because we know that Ouija boards they're basically an inviting doorway. Um, to whatever, and you don't know what you're inviting when you use these things. What's your perspective on Ouija boards? Have you used them in investigations, and have you ever had any experiences where you probably thought maybe I shouldn't have done
um, I've definitely used them before. I think the first time I was like 10, and then recently I used the app, which I think it's just like preloaded answers, in the
that? I
app.
do agree with
It's
that.
not the best, but in my opinion, they're not much different than using a spirit box or dowsing rods because it's all divination tools. It's all tools to connect with other side, and you can get an attachment by just walking somewhere, walking. I mean, there's I've encountered spirits at restaurants, so you can get an attachment anywhere, not just from using equipment. So as long as you're careful, I think they're probably just as on the same scale as any other divination tool.
Right. I know that one of the things that I talk about when it comes to Ouija boards or any divination tool is knowing how to open and close the doorway. Once you've opened it, you need to be able to properly close it because, once again, if you don't know what you're doing and you're inviting something in, you may create a very unwelcome detachment. Um,
Hmm.
and if you don't know how to close that door, you may end up stuck with it. And then you have situations where you end up having to deal with an exorcism or cleansing or, and anything
Hmm.
like that. Have you ever performed any cleansings in your years of paranormal investigation?
Yes, yeah, yeah. If somebody needs something out of their house or something, I can definitely do that for them. Um, Cleansings, crossing spirits over, all that stuff. Yeah.
Mission says I use Ouija boards all the time. Never had a problem or an attachment. Started using them at the age of 15, and I am now 49. Um, that's again, it's something that you want to use with utmost responsibility. It's not a toy. It's like using a spirit box or, like you said, any kind of divination tool. You need to know how to open and close those.
Well, when we were young, it technically was a toy. It was
Yeah.
made by a toy company.
Hello,
So
Bigfoot Anon.
so a
Butter.
lot of the kids back in the day were like, "Oh, look at this toy we get to play with."
Yes. I was at the mall not too long ago and went into this toy store and they had one there. And I was like, no way. They still sell them. So,
It's funny that they made it a toy, because again, they don't know what they're playing with. Children definitely don't know what they're playing with, and children are more susceptible to being open to spirit attachments,
mhm.
because they're so innocent and spiritually open. It's kind of easier to for any kind of spirit, whether it's a darker or a light spirit, to grab onto them and present themselves. Now, I call animals biosensors. Um, they're a lot more sensitive by sight, smell, and hearing than we are. Have you seen or had any animals that have reacted to a haunted area that you've investigated?
Absolutely. Yeah, they can pick up on them. We used to have a dog that would see them all the time, more over other ones, and he would growl at the hallway. And this is back when the man was walking down my hallway. He would always growl at them. He has passed away since then, but I also have a cat that passed away last summer, and we see him all the time. And I even get him like I'll be recording in the car, and I can hear him meowing. Like there's no cat in there with me, but we see him all the time in the house. But
Oh,
animals can be very sensitive. Some are more sensitive than others, though. Some just kind of ignore it.
right, exactly. Now, one of the things that we talk about a lot is Skinwalker Ranch. That's one of my favorite topics ever. You name it, that's probably the one I go to the most. Have you ever gone to Skinwalker Ranch, or do you want to go to Skinwalker Ranch?
I'm not sure. I've never been, but I'm not sure. I mean, I probably would given the opportunity. Um,
It's one of the places where UAPs seem to go quite active,
mhm,
quite frequently. So I think for me, I would love to go to Skinwalker Ranch. I want to experience what they're experiencing. But at the
mhm.
same time, I'm a little apprehensive because, again, we're talking about something that's not of this world. What is your feelings on UAPs?
Well, there's a lot of extraterrestrials that live amongst us, and we're not aware. They're already here. They've been here for a long time, and the majority of them don't mean harm. They're here to help us.
Mm-hmm.
There are some species that aren't the nicest, but same with humans. There's some people that are just
I was
buttheads.
going to
So
say there's some people on this planet
yeah,
that aren't very nice. Oop, I seem to
yeah.
have lost one of my co-hosts. um, oh, the tablet died. Okay. So again, UAPs, we have just been, we as a country, as a world, has just become aware by government standards that they
Hmm.
do exist. Now, UAPs are as far back as the Bible. They've got
Hmm.
paintings of them on cave walls. Um,
Yeah, it's pre that. Yeah, it goes back as far as anything. From like you said, cave drawings, and as, even the hairy man's been on cave drawings. There's a lot of stuff like that. And
right, exactly. So, I mean, obviously, people have been seeing these UAPs, cryptids for many, many, many years, thousands of years. Uh, if you could study any UAP, any cryptid, any location, what would it be and why?
um, oh, there's a lot of them. I don't know if I could pick just one because
Okay,
I
top
kind of want to
five.
experience it
Top five.
all.
Let's go
um,
top five.
as far as like a place I would like to go, I'm the one place that's definitely on my bucket list is the Island of the Dolls in Mexico. I want to go
Yes.
there. I know.
Oh, oh, she froze. You got to give her a second.
Right.
Oh, there you go. There you are. You're back.
Okay, am I back?
You're back. Okay, so the Island of the Dolls. I want to go there as well. So that's in Mexico.
Yes. Um, I would love to go and explore the theories of the vampires in castles.
Ooh,
There's a few places like that. I doubt I'll ever get the chance to do something like that, but it would be really interesting
I
because
mean,
there's a
I'm
lot of
waiting
things
for
that
the
we
past the
think.
possibilities.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things that we think don't exist, but they've been here longer than we have.
Yeah,
Werewolves, shapeshifters, vampires. They're all out there. There's a lot of, like I said earlier, there's a lot of things that you just really would not think exist. But these stories came from somewhere. Okay, they didn't just pop in someone's head one day. And especially when you think of
right.
just collectively worldwide, people have stories and they're kind of similar. So that goes
I
to show that
wa-
there's something with it.
I recently watched the Secrets of like the United States or something like that, and
Mhm.
there was actually two guys on there that said that they were vampire hunters. I don't know if you guys have watched that.
I haven't, but now I'm interested. I'm intrigued.
Basically, they say there is they've been the cow mutilations and stuff like that in like Arizona are not UFOs, that they're vampires and
Huh.
that they're on the search for them. Have you ever encountered anything that would make you suspect like something they suspect?
Um, so I would totally think that would be more probable than, you know, an ET causing that, okay? Because they're not, for the most part, they're not here to hurt us. I've had negative encounters with ETs, but I've also had positive encounters. And, one negative encounter with anything will scare you and make you think that they're all negative, they're all bad, just like with ghosts do with some people. But I could absolutely see that being a possibility uh, before I would thinking it was something from a UFO or a ET. I definitely think that
Yeah, because they
that's
say,
definitely a possibility.
because the blood is always drained and there's
Hmm.
nothing that shows that there's blood
Hi,
anywhere,
Supernatural.
near that the cow or horse or whatever that has died.
Hmm.
And so I didn't know if you like had maybe experiences like that
As
that
far as I
you
know, I've never experienced like had an encounter with a vampire. I could have and maybe not known it, but as far as I know, I have not. That would be really cool to experience that, though. I think it would be. Like I said
That
earlier,
would
I
be
want to experience
awesome.
it all. I mean, as
So I
long as you're
want to get
confident and you're protecting yourself, I mean, we'll be all right.
I want to get into
so
a little bit of a. Oh, go ahead.
so with your like the Sasquatch and stuff, do they come to you, or are you seeking them, or are they seeking you?
It was me who initiated contact. Um, and I think when we're out in the woods, that's what well, for anybody that's doing any type of research, we're out looking for them. That's our intention. We want to connect with them. We want to see them. We want to have an experience with them. And like I said earlier, as long as we keep it pure and don't overstep boundaries, because they're territorial. We don't want to overstep boundaries. We don't want to go in with negative intentions. But
Hmm.
but I think that there's a lot we can learn from these amazing creatures, and just be careful. I don't think they're gonna just full on like come out and try to butcher you, unless you get a little too close. Maybe, I don't know. I know some people have negative encounters, but
Yeah,
honestly, I
unless
think
you
that a
cross
lot of
that
it.
line.
Right. I think a lot of these negative encounters may come from things other than, the wild man. I think it could be other things, and they're just associating that with it because they're not familiar with a lot of other cryptids. It's hard to
Right.
tell. It could be a negative entity, a negative spirit that they're encountering. and people just assume because they're in the woods that it was Bigfoot who caused it.
Right. Now, I want to get a little bit on a theoretical side. As anybody understands, with investigation, there is hypotheses and conclusions. Um, when it comes to UAPs and cryptids, what is your theory behind their existence? Were they here prior to humankind? Were UAPs here during the time of the dinosaurs? What are your theories? I think that they've been here since the dawn of time, but that's just my opinion and my theory. How about you, dear?
I agree. I think so. I have such a bone to pick with dinosaurs. Anybody that knows me knows this. I don't believe the dinosaurs they show us were ever really here. I think they were all dragons. Um, and we're kind of conditioned to believe what they tell us to believe, what's written down, even though we know a lot of it isn't true. Um, I mean, like I heard somebody saying recently, they're like, I spent my whole childhood digging in the yard and digging on hillsides. I never found one T-Rex bone. Where are they finding these things? Like they're just coming up with this. But I definitely think it could have been dragons, and maybe they're just saying like that they just didn't put the wings on them. I don't know. But absolutely, they've been here since existence. Like they've always been here.
Well, I know they're always changing things with the dinosaurs.
They are, because
Oh
they
yeah.
went
What
from
you
being
originally
scaly to
thought
having
about this
feathers.
dinosaur no longer is this dinosaur. And
Hmm.
I think they change it a lot, that it's kind of like it gives you this kind
Hmm.
of like question about it,
I have to agree with that.
because like now a velociraptor is like a chicken, basically.
Hmm.
Right, because they went from having dinosaurs that were scaly and almost leather
And
Right.
now they're
textured
like
to now they're
chicken. Well,
feathered. Right. So
yeah, because
velociraptors
they
that we
say the
saw in
velociraptor,
Jurassic
you're
Park.
thinking when they first did it, this like maybe medium-sized dinosaur with these, huge nails and stuff. But according to them now, they're only the size of chickens.
Yeah.
Right.
So I understand what you're saying. You kind of have to wonder why the story keeps changing and
Right. Well, and
things like that.
as
It's
science
one of those
as,
things that makes you
as science
question.
has improved over the years and graphics have improved over the years, they they've proven that they've existed, but they can't seem to prove the exact lookalikes, because if you
Hmm.
watch Jurassic Park, who here watched Jurassic Park as a kid or when they were younger? They
Hmm.
were scaly, they were like real rubbery, leather textured, and now when you look at them, except for the Jurassic World movies, they kept it to the originals. But if you look at the scientific videos of what they look like now, they were feathered instead of scaly. You've got some that look more bird-like than anything,
Hmm.
like Drusilla was saying, more chicken in nature. So it definitely kind of leaves a little bit of question in your mind. Well, what if they're wrong about how they look this time? What if they look like this? So
Hmm.
I can see dinosaurs may have not looked the way that we think they do.
Yeah.
So again, theoretically, I think UAPs, being that they are in the Bible, they're on cave paintings, they are in Native American tribes revere them as gods. Um, I think they've been around since the dawn of time, and I think even back to Jurassic period.
Oh yeah. Absolutely. I agree.
Now, as far as cryptids, I don't know if they've been around as long. I think they've been around, and I think they've been around for a long time, but I don't know about whether or not they've been around since the dawn of time. I think it's something that evolution has created as the world has changed. Oop, did I lose you?
Oh no, I'm here. I'm reading the
No,
comments.
yeah, so am I.
Yeah, you have to look at, like he said, like the dinosaurs are scientifically proven. You have to look at who's doing the science. Science also says that we went to the moon, and Neil Armstrong says it was filmed on a set in Texas. He never went to the moon. NASA just recently said that they've never been outside of this atmosphere. So There you go. You know what I mean? You have to look at who you're getting your science from. Just because somebody says I'm a scientist doesn't mean they're right.
Well, it's like anything.
Whatever
Nothing in
happened,
human nature is 100%. That's why when they tell you that a vaccine is 99.9% effective, is because that 0.1% it could be ineffective. Same thing with birth control or anything that's 99 or 98 point whatever percent. It's never 100%. There's no such thing as anything ever being 100%. And it depends on your mindset, it depends on your theories, and it depends on how much you believe what we've seen. And I think we froze again. Oh no. Uh-oh.
Give
Let's
her a
give her a
minute.
second.
She should be back.
Huh?
I said, give her a minute. She should be back.
Yeah, I think it just bumped out again.
One night was getting home and it's peaceful. The girls were sleeping. Alex did work a later
Uh-oh.
shift, so
Taking her a little longer to get back to being here. Mission says we 100% went to the moon. And the Nona boss says that you're going to change your mindset once you start diving into cryptids. And I agree. Cryptids are one of those things that are just, it's very unexplained. Uh, then Mission says either that or God knows how many NASA workers were lying. Oh, God knows how many NASA workers were lying. I think she may have gone out to reset. And she's back. Where is she? I might have to go out and let her back in. I don't see her.
She'll be back, they said.
Oh, there she is. There you are.
okay. I had to go back out and back in.
I kind of figured that's what happened. We lost you a little bit there. Um, so here we have, and this is why I love doing this. I love being able to get our guests, our audience's opinion. Here, Mission says we absolutely 100% went to the moon. Either that or God knows how many NASA workers were lying. And then, oh, you're in the Appalachians. Oh my gosh!
Yeah.
No wonder. No wonder your connection's not the greatest. And then we'll start talking about, or start out thinking Sasquatch is flesh and blood until you start researching them. So again, these are all perspectives. I love getting these perspectives from people who are watching my show, because again, it all depends on your mindset. It depends on what you believe.
Right.
And a lot of that is on faith. A lot of what we know and a lot of what we've learned, whether it's scientifically proven or not, started out on faith.
Right.
Like Mission had stated, at one point we thought the world was flat until on faith we decided to explore the world and found out that it was spherical. So again, everything is a matter of perspective before it's science. That's why I said everything starts with theories, then hypotheses, and then conclusions. And in my theory, dinosaurs were very different looking than they are in books.
Right.
My theory is that UAPs have been around before the dawn of time. My hypothesis to that is there's enough evidence to prove that something other than humans existed prior to civilization. So those are my theories and my hypotheses. Drusilla, what about you?
Well, like I said, you have the one thing with science is that you have different people have the way they look at science differently. Okay, nobody's saying that dinosaurs didn't exist or anything like that, but you can have one scientist go, this is how they are, this is the way they are. And then you could have another scientist that goes, no, this is completely how they are. I think when it comes to people's perspectives on it, That's the same thing when it comes to scientists. They're
Yep.
doing it from what they perceive whatever the bones to be or whatever,
Right.
because
Right, because we don't
it
have
has
skin left over. We don't have
right.
skin left over in many dinosaurs. It's all bone. It's bone and dust and
Well,
whatever was
yeah, they've
left
never
behind. So there's nothing for us
right,
to visually see what they 100% looked like. There's only a couple
Hmm.
right.
of dinosaurs in existence and they're mummified. So even the textures aren't exactly what they were at the time.
You know, and so I think when it comes to everything, it is, people's perspectives. And like Amber says, she thinks that maybe they're dragons, and who's to say that they're not? You know, maybe in our realm we're like, oh, that's a dinosaur, but how are we absolutely, to
Hmm.
know that dragons didn't look that way when they were there? I
Yep,
mean, it
exactly.
it has
You
to
know,
all
and
do.
another thing is like, when you look at history books or you look at what's different things in the world, if they can keep us complacent where we don't ask too many questions, that's how they want it. When you start asking questions or digging for answers, that's what like it. So, what
Right.
better way to keep everybody
Right.
quiet is to just tell them what something to keep them that way, And there's a lot more about this earth and our reality than what we'll ever know. We'll
Well,
probably never
sure,
know in this
Well, what is
lifetime.
it? We've only discovered and explored like 3% of the world's oceans.
Hmm.
That's a lot of
yeah,
unexplored territory, and they're finding new species every year.
that, and they've done, like, you think of the Antarctic, you wouldn't think that there was a forest, but there was. And I mean, they're bringing that stuff up. They've dug to where they've had like crevices open, and there's like things that are unexplainable inside.
Hmm.
So
Yep,
I think our earth is like,
it's ever
they're not
changing.
even close.
Right,
Right.
There's so much more to this earth than we can possibly even imagine.
right.
Yeah.
Has anybody here watched La Brea? I've
I've
become
never
like
heard of it.
addicted. Oh my
I've
god,
never
it's a
heard
new
of it.
show, and it's where a sinkhole opens up on the earth, and they're the people that fall into the sinkhole are traveled back to like 10,000 BC, but there's things that they find in 10,000 BC that weren't there until like 2000 BC. And it kind of, I know it sounds like a crazy show, and I like it. I think it's a great show. But the honest truth is, nobody's ever been to the center of the earth. Nobody.
Hmm.
I think we've managed to drill 2 miles into the Earth's
Right.
crust. That's the farthest it would go. So who's to say that there isn't something so much more unexplainable beneath our very feet?
Yeah,
We
I've
don't
I've
know
heard
what's
that's what's
above the
behind
Earth.
Antarctica as an access point, but I don't know. I don't know much about it, but I know there's something hidden there for sure.
Mhm.
Well, like I said, I know they definitely are finding forests, so there was
Where are you
literally
guys
something
watching this
there.
where they're finding a forest? Because I haven't heard this before. Um, a good friend
Under
of
the
mine,
under
Craig,
the Arctic, yes, there are trees and
FTFE.
all that kind of stuff that
So
they're
Mission
bringing up.
says a good friend of mine, Craig, FTFE, is his YouTube channel. He has psychics a psychics degree, oh, physics, I'm sorry, I can't even read, physics degree, and also served in the Royal Navy on the nuclear submarine. And 8 miles was the furthest we ever drilled into the earth. I'm sorry, I thought it was 2. um but even then, 8 miles in perspective is not very far.
Hmm.
So back to what you were saying, Drusilla. Sorry, I was making sure to
Well, I'm
acknowledge
just
her.
saying that, they keep doing like more research in the Arctic, and they have found that there is a forest like literally under a whole bunch of ice. There's a forest under there.
Well, yeah. Well, if you think about it, at one point, The entire Earth was totally different. It went through ice ages to meltdowns to you name it. The Earth has changed so much over
Hmm.
history. And like you're saying, they found forests or they've been finding forests. Well, at one point in time, the Earth didn't have ice on it at all. It
Hmm.
was basically a big ball of fire. And then as it changed and things evolved,
What?
forests became, into the picture, and animals that slowly started forming over, billions. We're talking billions of years. This isn't a planet that's been around for 6 years. It's changed. And it's changed for thousands, billions of years. And so if there's forests under Antarctica, is that what you were talking about?
Yeah, that's what they're that's what they're
Um,
talking about now, that
at
they're
one point,
they're
that
finding
probably
out.
was a more green area, but now we've gone through ice age, and current conditions is now all ice. So it's not out of the realm of possibility that they're finding it that way. It's just, what time of history are they finding it? How far back does that forest go? If
Right.
that
And
makes
I'm
Hmm.
just saying, I was just saying that, there is things about this world that we're just finding out.
sense.
That who would have thought that there was a forest in the Arctic, like, no,
Right.
it's all ice,
Strange.
But what I'm saying is, as the
Uh-huh.
years go by, we are learning more and more and going, we don't honestly know what the earth really has for us
Yeah, it's a big
in a
mystery.
whole.
It's a big mystery.
Right.
Um,
And
just
they're still
like
only
I
going to tell
believe,
us what they want us to know. I mean, are you or I going to get a jet and fly above it and see what's there? No. So
No, right.
again, tell us what they want us to know.
Right. And we only
right,
get the picture, like the little screenshots that they give us,
Hmm.
right, and
basically.
my theory as to outside of Earth is about the same as it is inside of Earth. There are millions of galaxies, billions of universes. How can we even possibly say we're the only planet in the entire universe and in the entirety of all the galaxies in the universe this has sustainable, intelligent life?
Yeah,
Kind of
exactly.
narcissistic to believe that way.
Right.
So,
Absolutely.
and that's pretty much fight the flat Earth. By the way, gotcha. Thank you. FTFE is fight the flat Earth. Um, so again, it's completely within the realm of possibility that we have UAPs, and it's proven now. The government can't even say that it doesn't exist anymore because it was leaked.
Right.
So you know, it's a running joke on this program, and that's they couldn't come up with their own original idea, so they changed it from UFO to UAP because they couldn't have an original idea of their own. But we're rounding the end of our hour, so I'm going to go ahead and get just a little more from you. We started on your top five bucket list. I think we made it through two. So, what would your remaining three bucket list investigation spaces be?
Um, Salem for sure. I want to go to Salem, spend a week there. But I know people from there, and they're always like, "Don't come during October; it's a tourist trap." But that's kind of when I want to go, when everybody's dressed up and there's pumpkins everywhere and there's vendors, and I want to see all that. I want to get caught in that tourist trap, but I also want to go explore, where the witch trials happened and all of that stuff. Um, I think Gettysburg would be cool.
I live
And
2 hours from that.
oh, really?
Yeah, I live in Pennsylvania.
Okay. Yeah, I think that would
Gettysburg.
be fun. I went once when I was in like fifth grade, but that was
45
that was
minutes.
the
Never mind. I'm sorry, 45 minutes from Gettysburg.
that would be fun. Have you been there to explore it?
We have, but only during the daytime because I have children and I can't seem to escape my family long enough to go investigating like I want to. I
I
love to do
understand
that,
that.
but if I have to go to Gettysburg, I have to go with all of my children, which makes investigating impossible.
Hmm.
Um, but yes, Gettysburg is wonderful. I've been to the Jenny Wade House, which is probably the most depressing place on the planet that I've ever been. Um, Again, Jenny Wade was the only civilian in Gettysburg to have been killed in the line of fire.
Hmm.
Anyway,
I've I've never been there, so I definitely need to make it a
it's
point to
it's
try to
pretty
go.
it's pretty good. You'll have to go to the Jenny Wade House and the orphanage that's like right across the street from there. The orphanage was for children whose parents have died during the wartime. They were
Hmm.
put into the orphanage, and then the foster mother was said to have beaten, starved, and chained the children into the basement area, and has said that they have killed the children that were going there. So not only did
Oh
they have
wow.
a traumatic living, but then they ended up having a traumatic death.
Yeah, that's
That's
awful.
pretty. Yeah. There's land under the ice sheet of the Antarctic. Um, so those are two places you definitely have to go. Can I
Yeah.
add Gettysburg to my list 2 weeks ago? Yes, you can. Yes, you can. He was actually on my show 2 weeks ago. That's why I said that. And Gettysburg is awesome, by the way. I think if you ever got the chance to come out of the UK to it, you would love it. But so as far as Gettysburg, those are if you're gonna go to Gettysburg, those are two places you gotta go.
Yeah, I
So
definitely want to try to go. I have some friends that are going to be there filming on Halloween, but I have prior arrangements, so I can't do it, but
You're
that would
like,
be
darn.
awesome. Yeah. And I think it's like what is it? Maybe 6 hour drive for me, which isn't too bad, I guess. 5 hours. I can't remember. It's not too bad.
Yeah, it's a
well,
few
let's see,
days for
from
me.
Norfolk, Virginia to here is about 6 hours ish, 6.5, depending on
Hmm.
traffic on a good day.
Hmm.
But
Yeah, for
Yeah.
me, it's a few days. So it's like on my bucket list down the road
yeah,
because it's just so far from where I'm at.
there's another place I want to go, and I can't remember the name right off the top of my head, but it's in Pennsylvania. It's where an acorn-shaped UFO was said to have crash landed. Can't remember the
Hmm.
name of it off the top of my head, and I'm gonna have to go look for it later, and I will end up probably saying it on another episode. But the crash site's there, and it's still completely empty. Like there's nothing that's grown there since the crash.
That's interesting.
Yeah, so there's witnesses from I think it was 1982 or something like that, or 1978, one of those two, where the people that lived there at the time were able to see the crash. They said the military came in and they drove out with this acorn shaped thing on the back of one of their trucks, and one of the witnesses was said to have seen a living alien. Uh, so I want to go there. I want to
Hmm.
check that out.
Yeah,
That
that
would
would
be.
be interesting.
I'm gonna have to. I'll have to text you the name of it if I can find it. Um, I didn't even know about it until 7, 8 months ago. When a friend of mine goes, "Hey,
Yeah.
you gotta check this out." I was like, "Wait, what?"
Yeah, that
So,
would be interesting.
but yeah, do you know what I'm talking about?
I'm not even listening.
It's a place in Pennsylvania here, uh, about I think it's in the Philly area, close to Philly. It's an acorn shaped UFO that was supposed to have crash landed in like the 1800s or 1980s or some
I
shit.
have no clue.
Oh, he has no idea either. Darn it, he's from here and he doesn't even know. I'll look it up anyway. I definitely want to go there. Pavilia Island. I want to go there. It's where
Yes. That'd be
uh,
cool.
a plague broke out and the entire island at one point was set on fire with the bodies of
Hmm.
the victims of the plague.
There's one that happened in 1965.
That's the one.
I think the catacombs would be great, but
Thank you.
I heard you
Kecksburg,
can get
Pennsylvania.
lost in there.
Yeah.
And I sometimes don't have the best direction, so I'd probably be one
Same.
of those people, one of those people that would get lost.
Hmm.
Thank you. Thank you,
Yeah.
Mission Kecksburg.
3 hours.
It's 3 hours from here. Kecksburg, Pennsylvania. So that's where the crash landing had happened. They actually have a statue.
Southeast of Pittsburgh.
Yeah, but I've heard a lot about the catacombs.
I
and
want
it
to go.
interests me with all the stuff. But like I said, people are like, "Oh, well, you can get lost in there," and I'm sitting here going,
And
"No." Like I said, with my sense of direction, I'd be like, I'm lost. I'm done.
you and
I'll just sit
Evo, they
right
have
down
terrible sense of
here.
direction.
I'll just sit right down here and hope to God somebody finds me.
Yeah, that would be scary to
Right?
get lost.
Oh yeah.
Right? I just, that worries me. I mean, it's one of those ones that would be on my bucket list, but I'm just too worried that I get lost.
Well, I think they actually have a guide that goes down there with most people,
Well,
especially
yes,
if they're gonna get
they do
lost.
have guides, but you got like you have to find them like I guess secretly, like they're not just broadcasted because it's technically you're not supposed to be in there from
Mm.
what I hear.
Well,
So like
let's ask Mission in the catacombs. Do you have to have a guide, or are you not allowed to go in the catacombs? Because he's from the UK. But that would be awesome. Paris catacombs, or is it the Paris catacombs?
I think it's the Paris. I think so.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Paris catacombs. That's a place that I definitely want to go. I also want to go to the Shanghai tunnels. I don't
Yeah,
know.
that would be interesting.
That would be awesome.
Yeah.
Uh,
I want to go to New
the
Orleans and
New
investigate
Orleans would be
the
awesome.
vampire,
dude, you're not
the
kidding.
hoodoo, the voodoo.
All
They
that. Yeah, I
all
would
of the
be.
New Orleans area, they say has a lot of voodoo
Oh yeah.
magic that's happened, and like a lot of the hauntings that surround the New Orleans area is due to dark magic practices of voodoo and stuff like that. So I
There's
would love to
just
check
so
that out.
much paranormal history there that that's like would be my number one place to go because
Yeah.
just all
Okay.
that
So he says
history.
there's a
Mhm.
guide that does the Paris catacombs.
So that's a good one. The New Orleans. I
That
so
would be
want to
awesome.
go because just like
Yes, that'd be
there's
awesome.
just so much history dealing with paranormal
Well,
there.
that, and I mean, you got to talk. There's plantations there, a lot of
Hmm.
them. There's a lot of the plantations that are there. They're said to have been voodoo magic that was performed out of spite of slave owners that cursed the land or cursed the properties. So you've got all kinds of really cool stuff and dark history on top of it. Um, Okay,
I
so he
would
said
Yeah.
there is a guided tour for the Paris catacombs. However, a lot of it is sealed off. So there's certain parts of the catacombs you can't go at all.
I think with New Orleans you would have to like do like an extended vacation to get everything there.
I have to agree with that. I don't think there's any way you could possibly see all of the and investigate all of the New Orleans paranormal sites. I think it would be years to really be able to study all of them.
And you know, I've heard a lot of people have come up missing too. That go there for a good time and then they don't come back. So
Oh, you talking
Yeah,
that
about
I've
happens
heard
Bourbon
too.
that
Street,
too.
or is it Bourbon Street? It is. Or you go down
One
and
of
take.
them, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
People,
but it's
people end up
also
missing.
yeah, especially with when they have the Mardi Gras. Mardi Gras.
Yes.
There are people that come up missing.
Yes. That's very
They've
true.
gone
I
there to
mean,
go party and have never been seen
no.
again.
Yeah. So, alrighty. I hate to say it because we're actually getting over our time, and I want to have you back on if you're willing to come back on the show, because I like talking
Yeah,
to
this
you.
has
I
been
like
fun.
hearing your guys' perspectives, and we have a blast doing this. We try to make it a fun show. We don't want everybody feeling like they have to be scripted. Just be yourself. So if you're willing to, or if you would like to come back on the show, stick around when we end, and I'll schedule you in for another date.
Okay.
All right. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us on Ladies of the Paranormal. It has been absolutely amazing having you guys. And
It's
my
been
computer
fun.
is slow. I think I just froze. Hold on. There we go. I'm back. Sorry about that. I will be on again tomorrow. We have our family that comes on every Tuesday. They will be with us tomorrow. And you guys have a wonderful evening. And